What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video, and we've got a special guest here, Mark from TitanUpload, and we're going to be talking Bears versus Titans, the matchup for Week 9 of the NFL season. So a lot to get into. Mark, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, there's a lot to talk about here. We're going to dive into the matchup. We're going to talk about, kind of the keys for each of the teams. And then we'll also give our score prediction at the end. But just right off the bat, we're halfway through the NFL season. Give me your thoughts on the Titans, and then also give me your quick thoughts on the Bears. Like, has the team met your expectations halfway through the season? Are there things that you've noticed? Are there things that you're looking for? What are your overall thoughts?
Well, if you would have asked me a few weeks ago, I think things would have been really different. The past couple of weeks, we've faced a lot of adversity. We've struggled on defense mightily, just cannot get off the field on third down. And yesterday we made a bunch of cuts, cut Beasley, Jonathan Joseph, made one trade for Desmond King. So, if you were to ask me, we're 5-2, would I be happy with that when we started the season? Heck yeah, I'd be happy with that. You know what I mean? I know we're coming off a nice little playoff run last year, but 5-2, Bills, Steelers on the schedule. We didn't know how the Texans were going to be. So again, 5-2 is great. But the last 2 weeks have been brutal. Losing to the Bengals at Cincinnati was tough with 4 linemen out. So,
and we're going to talk about linemen, by the way, because the Bears have a lot of linemen missing. But
this is the game that you don't really need linemen apparently, because we can't get any sacks either. I think we're almost dead last in the league. But Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown, we haven't really had the whole band together. AJ Brown's been out, Corey Davis has been out. We had the whole COVID thing happen, so I feel like we're poised to make a little bit of a run here, and we got a tough stretch starting with you guys. Then we play the Colts on that Thursday night. So I think that's an advantage for the Bears going into this week. Are we going to be more worried about Thursday night, those kind of things? And then the Ravens and the Colts on the back end. So the next 4 weeks for us are going to be tough. As far as the Bears go, man, I mean, defense, that's what I thought. I'm 2 hours from Chicago. My family's all Bear fans. So I kind of am sucked into it, unfortunately, which I shouldn't say that as a negative thing.
At least we're not the Jets or the Giants, so you should be happy about that. So go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. It's not like I hate the Bears or anything. It's just, they get thrown in my face all the time. So being a Titans fan over the years, it's been kind of a struggle until recently. Even when we go 9-7, to Bear fans, I mean, they keep bringing up 1985. So it is fair. We don't have any Super Bowls. But the Bears, I see a team struggling on offense, and I see a team that's switched to Foles. And I don't mind Foles. I mean, we did the same thing last year from Mariota to Tannehill. So I think there's kind of a mirror image. Although I think your defense obviously is going to make the difference in this game, and that's something we can get in later. Or can we run the ball against you? That's going to be the key for me. But as far as the Bears go, I know Trubisky's out as a backup quarterback. Foles is the guy we're going to have to face. The running game, it's the pass. I mean, if you guys can pass and consistently pass, then I think you guys might, with Allen Robinson, that's going to be a tough matchup. And Miller, I think, might give us a little bit of all we can handle too.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I love asking, non-Bears watchers or fans, I should say, and you mentioned you do have people in your family that are Bears fans, but you as an outsider, what do you kind of view this Bears team as from an overall perspective? Because I feel like Bears fans tend to have blinders on when they kind of look at this team. We know the offense isn't good, but is it bad enough to where, are you saying the Bears are pretenders? Are you saying it's a playoff team? Do you think if things click right, Nick Foles gets hot, we can have a Philly run? Like, where would you classify the Bears in the overall picture as a team in the NFL?
I think you guys obviously have your work cut out for you in your division. Your division's tough. You saw what happened with Minnesota this past week, going to Green Bay and winning a game. We've played the Vikings. I don't know how we survived in Minnesota. That was a big challenge for us. We overcame it. But as far as the Bears go, the long run, the defense is going to be the key. Can the defense create enough turnovers? Believe it or not, the Titans are the number 1 team in the league. Who would have thought for turnover margin per game and stuff. So, the Bears, can they create turnovers like they did against the Rams, run one back for a few touchdowns? I mean, that's kind of your identity over the years, your strong defense, and do just enough on offense. So can you get hot? For sure. I know your division's tough. I know there's no easy games for sure. And the NFC's tough in general. It just seems like both leagues, you know what I mean? I think the Titans and the Bears, if I'm fair and I'm
Yep.
looking at it, I think both these teams belong. There's no question they belong. I mean, you guys belong just for your defense. We belong because we feel like we have a dominant running game, and Ryan Tannehill can definitely play action pass down the field with AJ Brown. So I don't know if our defense can hold up. On the flip side, I don't know if your offense can hold up. So I think we kind of mirror image each other, honestly.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, honestly. And just to speak on the Titans, my overall perspective is you guys play offense exactly how I wish the Bears played offense, which is power running game. Obviously, we have personnel issues. Nobody has a Derrick Henry. I get that, but power running game. Have a quarterback that's mobile, who doesn't create a lot of turnovers, or I should say, doesn't make a lot of turnovers. I think Ryan Tannehill's got like a 17 TD to 3 interception ratio. It's crazy. He's been playing great this year. So have a quarterback that doesn't make mistakes, but you are a running football team that doesn't turn the football over. You milk the clock and you keep the other team off the field. And that is how I wish the Bears played offense. So I love that about the Titans. Defensively, obviously, you guys have struggled there. But I think last year proved that you need to take the Titans as a legitimate team because, I mean, if you lose to the Chiefs, there's no shame in that. But you guys obviously went far. So just want to give the respect to the Titans because I know I've seen your tweets. I've seen your Twitter. By the way, follow him on Twitter. I'll have all the links in the description. But you kind of have the same narrative with the Bears as the national media doesn't respect the Titans or talks about them.
No, no. And, they did a couple weeks ago. We were 5-0.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith had us number 1 on his board. I don't know how we got to
Yeah.
that point,
That was
but
it's great.
again, that's the typical, in our history, we people start talking about us and then we go on a little bit of a losing streak and then people forget about us. But I think Vrabel, that's one thing that Vrabel versus Nagy that I'm very interested in this week.
Yep.
But I think that's the way the Titans roll. They like when the world's against them. They love like the whole COVID thing.
Yep.
How many times did these guys hear, hey, you need to forfeit games or it's all your fault and they're pointing the finger, you're going to get punished. And the Titans remembered that and they took it out on the Bills, unfortunately. So, sorry, Dan, but that's just the truth, right? So Dan Mitchell, wherever you are
Yeah,
out there.
absolutely. No, that's a great point. And same thing with the Bears. We've got a chip on our shoulder. It feels like the national media never talks about us, especially in the same division as the Packers. It's fine. We get it. It's all about the quarterback, right? We don't have a premium one. I digress. Point is, let's get into the matchup here. Let's quickly talk about our keys. So I'll start with you, Mark. You mentioned the running game. You mentioned a little bit about how the Titans want to attack here. So maybe if you want to start with how you feel the Titans should attack the Bears and then kind of how you think the Titans should defend the Bears.
Well, Taylor Lewan's out. Was out a couple weeks
Yep.
ago. And I mean, the Titans are, I want to say, in the top 3, top 4 with sacks, given not giving up sacks. So our offensive line is holding up. I think we average about 1 sack a game we give up. But there's been more pressure the last couple of weeks on Tannehill, you know what I mean? So they might not be getting to him, but they are putting some shots on him and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be one of those things where I think you need to be very conservative when you play the Bears. You don't need to go and throw the ball all over the yard and put yourself in vulnerable situations, third and longs, those kind of things. Bears are the number 1 defense, I believe, on third down percentage, and they're also number 1 in red zone. What's on the flip side of it, the Titans are number 2 for red zone offense touchdowns. So, I mean, there's really great matchups. It's almost like the election, man. It's someone's going to start off fast. Is it going to be the Titans? And if we can, then the Bears. I mean, if you look at our schedule and how we've played, we either start off fast or we start off from behind. And if we start off from behind, we usually have a tough time catching up. And seems like that's kind of how the election went. A lot of those states seem very dominant, one candidate in the beginning, and then down the line, here they come, and then you close real fast. And that's kind of how our games have been, on life support almost. So we're going to have to try to run the ball against you guys for sure. Like I said, I don't want to take too many chances down the field on offense. I don't want to go that route and have you guys return them. Like the last time you guys were in Nashville, Urlacher ran one back. I mean, that was a train wreck from the start. I was
taking us back to the glory days. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then defensively, I know you mentioned that you guys are well aware Nick Foles is a starting quarterback. Not
Yep.
just that, but Trubisky's out now. If there's been an injury that it was announced that Mitch is going to be out, so I guess it's our third string is Tyler Bray. You probably don't know him. Nobody does. It
From
doesn't
Tennessee,
matter.
man.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's funny. He keeps getting like protected on the practice squad. Apparently, they think he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't know. We'll see. But in regards to our offense, I know Nick Foles isn't going to scare anybody, but Allen Robinson's there. Darnell Mooney, our rookie wide receivers, made some plays. Anything you see here defensively for the Titans that could be a weakness?
Well, here's the problem for the Titans. We just can't rush the passer. I mean, we dress literally, I don't know how many, this is a question I want to ask you here in a minute,
Yeah.
but we dressed 3 pass rushers in the game and we just cut one of them. So now we're down to 2.
Yeah,
So we're probably going to be bringing some guys up from the practice squad. I mean, it's a mess trying to rush the passer. Now, a lot of Titan fans, a lot of the media stuff will point that Foles will go right after Jonathan Joseph. Well, our general manager fixed that problem this week. He just got rid of Jonathan Joseph. So can Desmond King play? I think that's the key. And Adoree Jackson's been out all season long. We would view him as our number 1 corner. Plus, he'd be the fastest guy on our defense. So it's hard for me right now, when we're making this video to determine if those 2 can play. All I know is Desmond King can't practice with the whole protocol thing, but just being traded till Saturday.
Yep.
So that's kind of the thing. I'm assuming they'll play.
Yeah.
But I think that would definitely equalize what the Bears are going to try to do. But yeah, you guys, I can't imagine us getting to Foles. And I just imagine if you're patient this week, we're going to give you everything underneath.
Yeah.
We challenge you to throw the ball down the field, and that's what usually happens, and that's probably why we give up so many third downs.
Now that makes sense. So I'll start with kind of my analysis here for what I talked about in my matchup is with the Titans. Defending the Titans to me is picking your poison here with Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill. And you've mentioned Derrick Henry should have success running the football because the Bears, the one weakness in the defense is the run defense. Alvin Kamara last week, he might have not had a lot of rushing yards, but he tore us up in the short passing game. And, I think Derrick Henry is an underrated pass catcher, by the way. So I don't think you guys utilize him enough for that. Absolutely. But in terms of my initial point, it's pick your poison. It's Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill. And I would rather have Ryan Tannehill, if it came to that, beat us rather than Derrick Henry. I saw what Derrick Henry did to the Texans. I don't want that to happen, right? I don't want 200 yards from Derrick Henry. And so if Ryan Tannehill, beats us with 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, so be it. I'll do it. I would rather have him do it than Derrick Henry. So I'd sell out to stop Derrick Henry. And then offensively, like you mentioned, your cornerbacks, we don't know the situation yet, but we don't run the football. Like Matt Nagy does not run the football. He just either he doesn't like it or he just doesn't see it. And our offensive line, I alluded to it earlier, we're expected to have essentially our entire offensive line out. They brought up some guys from the practice squad. So protection, I know you mentioned, again, Tennessee can't rush the passer, but protection still might be an issue. So Nick Foles is not mobile. That's the problem with Nick Foles. He's a duck in the pocket. He's a statue. That was the one thing Bears fans miss about Trubisky is that he was athletic enough to move outside the pocket. So, yeah, it's going to have to be Nick Foles in the passing game because I just don't think this running game is ever going to get going. And because of that, because of a high passing game, because of the fact that I think we'll sell out to stop Henry, I kind of see this as a little bit more high scoring than people might think. And so I'll ask you now, where do you kind of see this game going, and do you have a final score prediction?
Yeah, so, I mean, you make really valid points, and the one area I would say that we're stronger with on defense is probably against the run, so if you're not going to run it. And a question I have for you, just watching the Bears over the years, it seems like you guys get it 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You guys are running like double reverses. It's like, it's so frustrating because I know my dad gets fired up about it, but it's like, run the darn ball. That used to be your thing to do in Chicago. Run the ball, play great defense. So with you guys, though, this might actually play to your favor because when teams try to run the ball against us on a 3rd or whatever, I mean, we're better to stop it on our 3rd. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at the stats, but 62% were given up on 3rd down. And it doesn't matter if it's 3rd and 15, man, or 3rd and 3. I mean, teams are getting it. So how this game is going to go is, are the Titans going to finally wake up from this nightmare that they've been on? I mean, just just a horrific game last week at Cincinnati. But the offense is finally, I think, getting gelled. Corey Davis went over 100 yards. I think that's a
He's
name
very
for you
good.
guys to watch.
He's very
Jonnu Smith, can he, get some things going with the tight end? Ferkser's another tight end, kind of like a receiver who plays tight end. And then Ryan Tannehill, he made an awful throw last week. He's been awesome for the Titans, but that throw at the 7-yard line on 1st and goal across his body into 2 guys, I mean, that kind of just set the tone for that game. So hopefully, Tannehill can get off to a good start. But I'm just gonna have to. I can't
Yeah,
go against the Titans here.
it's fair.
I feel like it's gonna be in the 20s, like a 27-24 kind of game. Could go either way. I know the Bears can get ahead and then let you catch up. The Titans are the same way or vice versa. So it's just, here's the thing. If the Bears get a defensive touchdown, then I'm going to go with the Bears. We've also been struggling on special teams. Our punter's out for this game, I'm assuming. Kearney hurt his hand. We got rid of our long snapper. We've been giving up a lot of returns lately, like for big yardage. So that's another note. But thankfully, you don't have Devin Hester this time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, 27-24 Bears, unless you get a turnover, then I think the
Are
Bears will
you
probably find a way to win.
predicting a Steven Goskowski game-winning field goal to win the game?
He's 59%. And you guys have the guy that we had last year.
Yeah,
He missed 4 kicks against the Bills that cost us, and we can't get over that. Santos.
Listen, one man's trash is another man's treasure. That's all I got to
There
say.
you
So
go.
he's been great for us. He's been phenomenal, by the way, okay? So we'll thank you for him, and I hope Steven Goskowski gets, right with whatever he needs to get right with. He's been inconsistent. I know that's been brutal to watch because we know about bad kickers in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say the prediction that you did because I have this a little bit high scoring as well, and I have the Bears edging it out 27-24. So you kind of read my mind there. That was my prediction. But if you want me to be different, if the fans want me to be different, I'll do 30-27. But it's going to be a close game because I'm telling you, the Titans offense is potent. They can score on us. And the Bears defense is good, but we're a bend but don't break defense. That is going to mean a lot of field goals, maybe not necessarily a lot of touchdowns. And like you pointed out, maybe a defensive touchdown that could give the edge here. I would lean towards the Titans at home. And I apologize if I picked the Bears. I misspoke. I meant to pick the Titans. And I'm saying I would pick the Titans to win at home. Yes, I was already thinking about the Bears in my head, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I got the Bears winning. No, I have the Titans winning. 27-24. And the other reason I have them winning is coming off of 2 straight losses. I think you guys are going to be very angry. I think you guys are going to want to make things right. And I think, again, this Bears team with the lack of offensive linemen, I guess, again, the fact that we're trending down as well, it's just tough right now. And I have more faith in Tennessee right now than I do with the Bears. But I'll always say this, the only time in my life I like being wrong is when I pick the Bears to lose. So let's see what happens. But yeah, I apologize if I misspoke earlier. I have the Titans winning this game. And Bears fans hate when I do that, but I have to be objective. You guys are the better team. Right now, I need to see more from our offense. That's pretty much it. So could I see the Bears winning this game? Absolutely. You said you could see it too. It's going to come down to it, but that's just where I'm at. Any other last second thoughts you want to share here?
I almost view, again, I've met, maybe it's just because it's been on my mind so much with the election, but it's almost like the mail-in vote versus the show up at the poll vote. Which one's going to win out in the end? And it's either going to be your defense that I think is really, really good, or our offense is going to show up. So I can't tell you which one ultimately is going to have the bigger impact, but I can tell you one thing up front. Our defense, if we don't have a Dory Jackson and we don't have Desmond King, who has never played a game for the Titans yet, I mean, we already got rid of our number 2 corner, Jonathan Joseph. So, I mean, and it got rid of a pass rusher too. So, I mean, even though Beasley really didn't do anything for us. So, but I'm excited. I love playing the Bears.
No, absolutely.
We only play each other every 4 years.
I'm excited as well. Let's see what happens, and hopefully the better team wins. But yeah, we'll go from there. So I really appreciate you, Mark, and I'm looking forward to this game, man.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bear